Hello and welcome back. So today's topic is how to prepare for a PhD interview. This is also applicable if you're appearing for a Viva Voce for dissertation work in your master's or research, that is your PhD interview, the final Viva. So before we begin, there's some things that we have to make clear. So first part is that before appearing to the panel, it's imperative that you are clear with what your agenda is and why have you chosen the topic that you are choosing, and also why you are pursuing higher studies in the area. So your why should be clear. And generally, how to tackle this question is that in most of the cases, why we pursue research and PhD is to find solutions to problems which are already existing in the society. Also, another valid answer for you is that through PhD, you are eligible for also your path towards becoming a lecturer or assistant professor becomes easier, and then you can contribute into the field of research. Also, you can engage with uh, the younger minds which are coming and guide them towards the research process. So through your lectureship and assistant professorship, you can also ignite the minds of future researchers. Also, your research proposal has to meet all the parameters that are mentioned in the format of the institute, the university that you are applying for. And it should be clear every details that you're putting in, the citations, the sequence, the sample size that you are tentatively putting in into the research proposal should be clear. Also, you should have practical knowledge why you are choosing the certain research design, the certain methodology, the statistics, uh, the methods that you are choosing for the study. So it should be clear and you should have a practical explanation. You should be fully convinced by yourself that what you have chosen is correct. And also, you should be open to discussions in case the panel asks for a discussion or they try to contradict or suggest you some changes. So be open to that also. Don't be too rigid during the interview. Next is research methodology is one thing you have to study. So you need not study the entire NET GRF syllabus, but this topic, research methodology, is something that you should be thorough with. You should have clarity of different designs. You should have clarity of different approaches before sitting for the interview. Also, there is a chance, and generally everywhere there insist that you share something about yourself and why you have chosen PhD or why are you choosing that particular institute. They might also ask you questions based on, for example, if you have a work experience, what work you were doing. So you have to beforehand be prepared, and maybe 1 or 2 days you have to recite and take some time out to practice your interview question and answers. Also, they will definitely ask you why you have chosen this research area and why this particular topic. For example, if you're working in a certain sector of society, then they might ask you, this study, has it done been in the past, or why are you choosing this sample, why not try to change it a little bit. So here you have to be flexible, and you can suggest that if there is an expert in the panel who has already conducted the surveys, so it's best that you go through their profile and be open to changing some parts of your research. But like the first reason why we choose PhD is because we have inclination and interest in that research area. But also be honest to your research area. Do not completely abandon the research area. For example, if you're into qualitative research and someone asks you to change into the quantitative research, and if you oblige, so later on that might lead to problem. And although it's not too difficult, depends on your guide how they would like to direct your research work. So to some extent, be sure that you know what you are comfortable with. Do not venture beyond what your comfort level is. Also, you have to be having a knowledge of what normal probability curve is, what parametric and non-parametric tests are, what are the conditions of applying a particular test, a little about quantitative, qualitative, correlation, regression. So these things should be clear before the interview. then you should have some knowledge base on the text that you have read, the books you have read. So write it down if you're reading some books in the area, the author, the findings, the critique, the process that they used, the journals that you're reading. Make sure that you remember the names of journal and what studies you have read, who has conducted the study, which country has the sample size be taken from, and is it relevant, what future suggestions of work were, and try to, if possible, do the past study on the researches that you're reading from recent 10-15 years. You should be clear with the theoretical background of the study. For example, like I've already discussed, if it is about the development in stages of the child, then you should be clear about the social process, Piaget's theory, Vygotsky's theory, Erickson's theory, and this way, what are the key developmental stages for the child to go through. You should have a good idea about the sequence of the theories being published, the critique, and how was the theory formulated. Also, you should have a 3-4 minute narration about yourself. So, which college you have studied from, if you have a work experience, how was it, and why do you want to leave the regular work and get into academic field, and also what kind of books that you read, if you have some books, if you have worked in college level or university level in paper presentations or organizing some debates, elocutions, or drama, so you can put that also, but that shouldn't take much of your discussion if it is not related to academics. And also, it's okay to reach out to professors in that university beforehand if you have doubts and ask for help. Same thing, you can reach out through social media or Instagram or LinkedIn with some research scholar who is already studying and pursuing research in that institute beforehand. So once more, I'll tell you. So a 7 minutes complete presentation, which includes 2 minutes, 3 minutes of your own personal introduction, followed by 4-5 minutes of your research proposal presentation. This should be clear. The research topic should be thorough with. You should learn it by heart. Objectives should be learned by heart. The hypothesis that you have made or the research questions should be learned, and you should have them on your fingertips. Also, the literature that you have reviewed. If you're putting in 7-8 literature reviews, so the most important of them you should remember. You should remember the name of the researcher who has conducted the study, the year it was conducted in. You should have a strong backing of the area of interest that you have chosen. And also, sometimes it's good to carry your CV. But before the interview, you can put the CV in your file, and if the panel says that they are not interested in the CV, then it's okay to remove it. So, sample and delimitations of your study should be clear with. The operational definitions which are specific to your topic, that should also be clear with. The variables that you have chosen and what interrelation between the variables are you studying. So that should be understood. The design and if it is experimental, if it is uh, causal comparative, if it is correlational study, so that should also be understood. A little bit of the tests and their conditions that you use, that you follow before applying them, should also be clear with. The background of research, you should be clear with the year the theories have been developed and the critique, like I've informed you before. Also, if for example you are doing some kind of study in understanding the issues the certain section of society is facing, or if you're doing it at a school level, then you should have some additional knowledge about what has been done. For example, what is the contribution of, let's say, Paulo Freire in his study, and what is banking model, and what is the concept of tolerance, and what are the stereotypes which are prevailing in the society. How will you navigate getting through some challenging sample group, and what process you'll be undertaking to get all the permission so that ethically you are not violating any terms of research. So these things also should be understood beforehand, and that can be done only if you're reviewing a lot of literature and going through each line in detail. So good literature should be studied and followed and remembered, noted down, and reviewed again and again. So this is my suggestion. So all the best, and if you have some questions to discuss, you can put them in the comments.